In 1977, a small factory in Colvin, Leicester got to work on something that would change the lives of countless people. Little did they realise that people were still caring enough 40 years later to sit and listen to a guy waffle on about that product. This is the Star Wars Toy Podcast.
Hello there. Welcome to episode 24 of the Star Wars Toy Podcast. I'm your host, Darth Mark, and on the podcast this week, I'm going to be going through the vintage line of weaponry. The blasters, the lightsabers, maybe not the the vibro sticks and things like that, but we'll never know. We'll see when we get there. I'm going to be going through the rights and wrongs of all the weapons, and maybe give them a bit of a valuation too. But talking about valuations, we have this.
The Star Wars Tracker Report.
As you may know, when you sign up for the Star Wars Tracker, you get a weekly email that keeps you up to date with the latest trends and what is sold in that week. And it also gives you an update on your own collection. But Jared sometimes leaves a little note and writes a bit about a specific thing that's happened in that week. And he's done that this week. This week I want to draw attention to something that you do not see every day. And this is the first for the Star Wars Tracker price guides, the Meccano Death Star playset. This playset is credited to Palitoy in the UK for its origin, but was available in other countries. It was additionally licensed to Kenner Canada and Tall Toys in Australia for distribution in their local markets. But this week we have a public auction for probably the rarest amongst them all, the Meccano licensee from France, although only just creeping into position 5 on the accessories list this week in terms of value, €622. This is surely a newly found gem for someone out there. Congratulations to the new owner. I'd second that, because if I'd have seen this, I'd have definitely had a shot at it, because I am after that Death Star playset, the Palitoy one, and I love my Meccano. I have my square-carded Meccano Ben Kenobi. It's graded 60, but I love it still. So that would have been right up my alley. So onto the market activity for the 23rd of November to the 29th of November 2019. In all, 819 items were sold for a total of £56,569. I'm going to start with these top 5 accessories, and indeed start with that Death Star Meccano Star Wars A cardboard spherical playset, sold in France for €622. At number 4, we have a TIE Interceptor AFA-85, Kenner Return of the Jedi A Vader scene, sold in the United States for $787. Number 3, we have a Turret and Probot, Kenner Empire Strikes Back A Hoth scene, sold in the United States for $898. At number 2, we have the Imperial Shuttle, Kenner Return of the Jedi A Emperor Arrival scene. This one was sold in the United Kingdom for £720. But at number 1, we have a Millennium Falcon, Palitoy Empire Strikes Back A Stormtrooper scene, sold in the United Kingdom for £775. On to the top 5 loose figures now. At number 5, we have Luke Skywalker Farm Boy DT Saber, Kenner, sold in the United States for $649. Number 4, we have Blue Snaggletooth with Dent AFAU 85, Kenner, sold in the United Kingdom for £585. Yes, it's graded 85, but that is a lot of money. At number 3, we have Imperial TIE Fighter Pilot AFA 85, Uzai, so it's a fake, or a bootleg, if you want to call it that, sold in the United States for $1,275. At number 2, we have a Luke Skywalker Fanboy DT Saber AFA 80 this time, Kenner, sold in the United States for $1,276. So there you go again, the grading pays off. The one at $649 was sold a day after this one at $1,276. So they either didn't see it or they just wanted a graded one. But the best is yet to come, because at number 1, we have another Luke Skywalker Fanboy DT Saber, an AFA 85 this time, slightly better than the last one. But this one was sold in the United States for $1,469. Around about $200 more for that extra 5 points from AFA. And the funny thing is, they're both sold on the same day. And all three on eBay. But let's get away from the loose figures now and go on to the mint on cards. So number 5, we have a Warwick AFA 85Y. Kenner, Power of the Force 92A. Sold in the United States for $1,009. Number 4, we have an R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber AFA 85. A Palatoy Return of the Jedi 70D. Sold in the United Kingdom for £820, which is not too bad. And number 3, we have Chewbacca AFA 80, but this is a Top Toys Return of the Jedi 17A. Sold in the United States for $1,075. That's a real bargain. And number 2, we have Imperial Stormtrooper off Battle Gear AFA 85, a Palatoy Empire Strikes Back 30A. Sold in the United States for $1,136. And finally, on this week's tracker, we go to the number 1 mint on card figure, and that is Chewbacca AFA 85. Canada, Star Wars 12B, sold in the United States for $1,858. So that's your tracker for this week. If you'd like to get the tracker for yourself, that's www.starwarstracker.com.
Penny for your thoughts.
So as I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about vintage weapons this week. I will firstly do a rundown of each weapon, how many of each weapon you actually need for the full 96, and the prices you should be paying for them. Remember, it's always best to get a complete figure when you're collecting, but you can't always do that, and you will need to buy them loose sometimes. So I'm going to start off with the Imperial Blaster. It comes in black and blue-black. You're usually going to be paying about £10 to £15 for one of these. The black ones sometimes can be a bit more. We'll talk about that in a bit. You're going to be needing 8 of these in total for the 96. That's the Death Squad Commander, the Stormtrooper, Hammerhead, Walrus Man, Boba Fett, IG-88, the Imperial Commander, and Luke Stormtrooper. The Lazo Luke Stormtrooper is generally thought to have the black blaster. You're going to be paying a hefty sum for this figure anyway, over £100, probably about £150. The helmet is hard to find, and if you want to find a perfect black blaster to go with it, that can also be hard to find. But there has been some debate whether you can use a blue-black or just the blue blaster for this Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper. Some have been found still on the card with the blue blaster, but it all really depends on what was left in the factories, to be honest with you. On to the second weapon now, and that is the Rebel Blaster. And there were 7 of these, and they belong to Han Solo, Greedo, Luke X-Wing, Snaggletooth, Han Hoth, Bespin Luke, and the Endor Han with the trench coat. In fact, the Han Hoth and the Luke Bespin are supposed to be blue, and the Han Endor is supposed to be black. But I don't really go into the blue, black, blue variants. I've mentioned the Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper black blaster. That's why I didn't mention the Imperial blasters. To me, they're all dark blue, black, whatever. I will mention later on some grey blaster variations, but to me they are totally different. So this Rebel Blaster usually goes for about £15. Maybe it's a bit rarer than the Imperial Blaster. They are quite easily found on eBay, but just be careful about repros. It is quite easy to recognise a repro. Again, it takes a lot of studying and a lot of research, but once you've handled a few of the originals compared with the repos, you get to know what the difference is. If you're unsure, always check out the Imperial Gunnery. They have catalogued all the weapons and all the repros that are available. And trust me when I say a lot of them are getting really close to the originals, which is a bit scary. And the funny thing about the Rebel Blaster is you find a lot of damaged ones, especially on eBay. But as long as it's original and not repro, I don't see the problem. Next, we have the Bespin Blaster, which actually has a lot of different variations. You'll find there's about 3 or 4 different variations of this Bespin Blaster, officially. And you'll need 8 of these to complete the full vintage line. And the characters that carry the Bespin Blaster are obviously the 2 Bespin guards, Lando Calrissian, Lobot, Squidhead, who has a grey one, Bespin Han, the Rebel Soldier, and the Attack Commander. Yes, I know, and that is something I'm going to come to at the end of this list. So all the Bespin Blasters are blue, apart from that grey one, which Squidhead has. But I said they're different variations, different shapes of the Bespin Blaster, but I think you could use any of them for any of the figures. And as I said, there was 8 of those. You could be paying between £5 and £10 for one of those bad boys, but the grey one probably a bit more, maybe lower end's £10, and that's usually pretty hard to spot, as a lot of the repro weapons are grey. So somebody just coming into the hobby might think that is a repro. Next up, we have the Bowcaster, which belongs to Chewbacca. Now, this weapon first came out in the early bird kit, and it was slightly see-through with a bit of a green tint to it. But the regular production variant was blue-black. And you'd be paying about £15, between £10 and £15 anyway, for one of these. Actually more expensive than Chewbacca himself. Next we have the Jawa Blaster. Now, you had a couple of variations on this. One had a little bump on it and one didn't. You can get them in blue, black or black. And they will usually set you back about £10 to £15. Next up, we have one of the most infamous blasters, weapons, accessories you can find in the Star Wars vintage line, and that's Leia's Blaster. You should have 3 of these for a full set, but one of them should be black for the original Leia Organa. The other 2 will be blue-black for Hoth and Bespin Leia, and one of these little bits of plastic will probably set you back more than most of the figures that you collect, because the black one usually goes for about £60, and the blue-black usually about £50, but you can get them a lot cheaper. Keep your eyes peeled. On eBay, I picked up a Leia Organa without a cloak, without a cape, which I need one of those if anybody's going. But it had the black Leia Blaster, and I got it for £43. So I think I got a bit of a bag in there, even though I didn't get the cape. Maybe I should do a bit of a follow-up on the other accessories, because I'm not going to talk about the capes and the hoods, or Yoda's belt and snake. I'm just going to talk about the weapons. And the next one I would class as a weapon, because it does get used as a weapon. And that's the Gaddafi stick that the Sam people use. And of course, the colour of that is brown. And you should be able to pick one of those up for about £15. Next up, we have the Bosk rifle, which surprisingly is a one-off for Bosk. This comes in blue, and you can usually pick it up for about £10. Next up, we have another one-off, and that's IG-88's rifle. This was blue, and it also came with the Imperial Blaster, and was the first character that came with 2 weapons. Soon after came Bespin Luke. You should be able to get an IG-88 rifle for about £6. Next up, we have another rifle, but there was 2 of these, and that is the Imperial Hoth rifle. Now, Dengar, the bounty hunter, also had one of these. He must have borrowed it off the Empire when he was on the Star Destroyer. These both came in blue, but you can get them for around £4, because if you're ever hunting Star Wars weapons, you'll find that these are in abundance. The reason for that is because they came with the survival kit that you either got with the AT-AT or you sent off for. I believe you got 4 of these rifles in the survival kit, where you also got backpacks, gas masks, a Jedi training harness for Yoda, a belt with a grappling hook on for Luke, and an assortment of weapons that included all the different rifles, the Imperial, the Rebel Hoth rifle, the AT-AT driver's rifle, Bespin blasters, and if you're lucky, an Imperial blaster. As I say, I did mail away for that one, and I can remember waiting ages for it to come. And just think, you had to cut those little nameplates out to get that, which was very similar to the Action Man stars that you cut out from the side of the boxes. I think that was Palatoy's idea. Next up is not a weapon, but it's 2-1B's medical probe, which came in silver and will set you back about £10 these days. Next we have Forlom's rifle, which again was a one-off. It looked like a shotgun with a double barrel on it, and it came in black, and that will set you back about £10. Next is another rifle, I've already mentioned it, the ATAT rifle, the ATAT driver's rifle. One of those, obviously, because you only had one ATAT drive unless you've got two for your ATAT. And those go for about £6. Next, we have the Pilot Blaster, which you should have 3 of. And it first came in grey with the Clout Car Pilot and the Imperial TIE Fighter Pilot. Now, the Clout Car Pilot also has a comlink, which is grey, and it's one of the hardest things to find. So much so, I couldn't even find a price for it. The blasters, though, go for about £10. And the last one belonged to 9num, which was a black version. Next, we have the Hoth Rebel Rifle, which you should have 2 of, and they both should be black and belong to Luke Skywalker in Hoth battle gear. And the Rebel Commander. These should be about £5, as they were in abundance, again, coming from the survival pack. Next, we have another one-off rifle, this one belonging to the bounty hunter Zuckuss. This is quite an unusual rifle, and sometimes can be confused with an Action Force rifle. Oh, that might be just me. It came in black, and you can usually get it for about £10. Next, we have the Vibro Axe, which there are 3 of, and they belong to Klaatu, Wike, and Lando in Skiff disguise, and they all come in grey. Another one-off rifle now, and it is Ree-Yeez's rifle. You know I don't like this character. I don't know why they did this character. This weapon comes in gold. Oh, that's a gold weapon. And that one will set you back about £10. Next up, we have 2 briefing sticks. Yes, I know they're not weapons. We've brought a medical probe into it, so I might as well put these into it as well. One belonged to General Maydean, which was white. And the other was Admiral Akbar's, which is black. And they both set you back around £10. Next, we have another interesting blaster. Another one I'll come to a bit later on. Is the Palace Blaster. And you'll find 3 of these in your set. The first one should be grey for Jedi Luke. And the other 2 should be black for Luke in Battle Poncho. Endor Luke, if you like. And General Pilot Lando. These again are quite expensive, as there are only 3 of them. There should really be an abundance of them as the Jedi, Return of the Jedi line weapons. But maybe people didn't realise they were Star Wars weapons and threw them away. I don't know. But they will set you back around about £25. Next up, which is officially a Princess Leia weapon, the Boushh rifle. That comes in black, and you can usually get for about £8. The next weapon is also quite large and easily found. That is the Emperor's Royal Guard Force Pike. And that comes in grey. You should be able to pick this up about £5, but between £5 and £10 anyway. Next, we have Pruneface's rifle. Yes, Pruneface, we saw him getting on the Imperial shuttle, going to Endor, but we never saw him again. Yeah, I think he kind of deserted. This rifle is brown, and it looks like something out of the Wild West. So again, could be mistaken for a weapon that's not from Star Wars. So it's always a good idea to look in boxes of toys, job lots, anything like that, and see if you can find some of these weapons in there. Because you're bound to. You should be able to pick this up, again, between £5 and £10. Next, we have another Force Pike, but this is Klaatu's Force Pike. Klaatu in a Skiff Guard outfit, to be precise. This came in grey, and you can usually pick up for about £8. Next up is the Vibro Staff, which you could have 2 of, or you could have 3 of, depending on how you feel. All 3 came in grey, and they belonged to Nikto, Barada, and Yak Face. Only on the power of the Force, Yak Faces. So if you've got a loose Yak Face, you can get away without him having a weapon, as the Trilogo version didn't have one. Next up, a spear. Yes, we're getting onto the Ewoks now. You should have 2 of these, and they both should be brown, leading to the joke, what's brown and sticky? A stick. And those belong to Wicket and Romba. And those could set you back between £15 and £20. Yeah, no, for an Ewok. Next up, we have one of my favourite weapons, and that's a Biker Scout's pistol. These came in grey, and will probably set you back about £10. Next, we have Bib Fortuna's staff, which came in grey, and that will set you back £8. Next, we have the only beige weapon in the whole line, and that is the Endor rifle belonging to the Rebel Commando, and that will set you back between £5 and £10. A couple of staffs next, one belonging to Low Grey, one belonging to Chirper, and they're both around £4. Then we have the Rancor Keeper's Vibro Blade, which came in grey, which you could usually pick up between £6 and £8. Another Ewok weapon now, and it is the T-Bow Axe, which you can pick up for about £10. Up next we have the second most expensive blaster, and that is the Endor Blaster. And you should have 5 of these. 3 of them could be grey or blue, belonging to Princess Leia Combat Poncho, the B-Wing Pilot, and the AT-ST Driver. Now the other 2 should be black, belonging to the A-Wing Pilot and the Imperial Gunner, and they are £30. Another Ewok staff now, and this is quite more expensive because it's a one-off. It belongs to Paplu. It's brown again, funnily enough, but you're going to be paying about £25-30 for one of these. Again, as I say, it's always better to buy complete. Last Ewok weapon now, I promise. And there's 2 of these, and that is the bow. A brown one belonging to Paplu, and a dark brown one belonging to Warwick. Next, I wasn't sure if I was going to include this, but I will do. It's the Headhunter's staff belonging to a Manaman. Now, this figure is quite expensive because it's one of the last 17, but the staff comes at a high price as well, especially if you buy it separately. You can be paying between £50 and £65 for one of these. So I thought I'd include it. And just make sure that it's a full-length version because the bottom part usually breaks off. People try and sell it without the bottom part. So just make sure that's complete. So there you go. And I bet you think it's something I've missed out, isn't there? Something I'm going to leave till the very end. And that's the lightsabers. They're the main weapon of Star Wars. So I thought I'd leave them till last. Now, even though I'm going to mention double telescoping lightsabers, how many of them will you be able to find on the open market? Not a lot. So how much do you think they'd be worth? Quite a bit. So I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess at a price of one of those. But the normal telescoping lightsabers go for a pretty penny by themselves. So first up we have Darth Vader's red lightsaber. Now I'm going to be talking about ones with tips. I'm not going to even talk about ones without tips. Because yes, you can start off with one, maybe. But I feel a figure is not complete without that tip. Now, as you know, Vader's lightsaber is red. But there are some variations on the colour of his lightsaber. It's obviously red, orange, all different tints of between orange and red. And you're usually going to be paying about £25 to £30 for one by itself. And these are getting harder and harder to come by. I know because my Vader fell off its shelf a couple of years back and I had to hunt down a new lightsaber with the tip on. And I ended up doing a deal with somebody to get a new one. You sometimes have to do that because the dealers don't usually want to give away one of their precious full lightsabers. Because you'll find most of these dealers are collectors as well. Next we have Ben Kenobi's blue lightsaber. And unlike the Vader's red and orange lightsabers, usually you've got the same colour blue with the Ben Kenobi. And this will usually set you back about £20, £25. But these are also getting hard to find. And the last of the telescoping lightsabers is obviously Luke's yellow lightsaber. Again, this is usually pretty hard to find, but just check on eBay. There'll be a few on there. Just make sure they're not repro. Just buy from a authorised dealer. Well, not authorised, but somebody you know that won't sell you rubbish, and go for the 100% positive feedback. And it should set you back between £20 and £25. As we come into the Empire Strikes Back line, the lightsabers evolved into handheld lightsabers. Well, only for Luke. We never got another Darth Vader with the handheld lightsaber, which is pretty much a shame. But the first one is the yellow Bespin Luke lightsaber. Yes, another yellow one. But we weren't bothered back in the day. We had a handheld lightsaber, which was really cool. And you should be able to pick one of those up for about £20. So on to the Return of the Jedi and Jedi Luke's lightsaber. Firstly, you might know that they came out with the blue one, and then it changed to the green one. It's all to do with the filming of Return of the Jedi. It did start off with the blue lightsaber. They used blue screens back then instead of green screens, and his blue lightsaber wasn't showing up. So they changed his lightsaber to green, which is funny now because it's a green screen and not a blue screen. I'll never understand that. So the blue lightsaber is obviously a bit rarer, and you're going to be paying about £30 for one of those. I think I paid about £20 a couple of years back for one, but I was quite lucky. It was a deal that had a few of them, and it was a reputable dealer that I knew, so I knew they were real. The green one will probably set you back about £20, same as that yellow one. And finally, the last lightsaber we have is the R2-D2 pop-up lightsaber. Yes, this R2 goes for a lot of money by itself without the lightsaber. But if you add that lightsaber, you're going to be paying about £350. So the lightsaber itself, it probably costs you about £200. Again, I keep saying it, but it is best to buy complete. And that's your list of what you should have for a complete 96 run. Again, I've not included belts, clothing or accessories. I'm going through all the figures individually anyway, either on here and on my YouTube channel. What I want to do now is nitpick a few of the weapon choices for each character. I mean, start with the lightsabers. We all know about the different coloured lightsabers. Why did Luke have yellow up until Return of the Jedi when he actually got a blue one, which was then deemed to be wrong? We do know that Kenner got black and white photos from Lucasfilm back in 1977 to create these things. And on the 12-inch box for Ben Kenobi, it has a yellow lightsaber. So I wonder if they were supposed to be the other way around. I'm not really sure. But then why give Bespin Luke a yellow lightsaber in Empire Strikes Back line? With the blasters, it seemed early on in the Star Wars line, you either had a Rebel blaster or an Imperial blaster, apart from Jawa and Princess Leia. And then when we got to the Empire Strikes Back line, everybody seemed to have Bespin blasters. Even the Rebel Soldier and the Attack Commander, for some strange reason. I mean, why not give the Rebel Soldier a Hoth Rebel rifle? Because he only had 2 of those, and the Attack Commander could have had an Imperial blaster. How would they have Bespin blasters on Hoth before they even got to Bespin? And talking of Bespin blasters, why has Han Solo got one? I know he's got his Bespin outfit on, but he had his DL-45 until Vader took it off him. He didn't have a blaster after that, he got frozen. So why would he have a Bespin blaster? The Imperial TIE pilot and the Clout Car pilot both have a pilot blaster. Why would an Imperial pilot have a pilot blaster? Surely should have had an Imperial blaster. Why mould a totally different blaster and only use it once more with 9-num? And why would 9-num have one? It's like the Endor blaster. You had 5 of those, 3 for the Rebels, 2 of them pilots, and 1 for Leia. Why you didn't have Leia blaster, I don't know. And 2 of them for the Imperials. 1 a driver, and 1 an Imperial gunner, who I do believe was on the Death Star, not an Endor. Yes, it's nice to have a different weapon, but what happened to the Rebel and Imperial blasters from the first Star Wars wave? There was only 1 Rebel blaster, given to Han Solo, and 1 Imperial blaster, given to Stormtrooper Luke, which was from the Star Wars line anyway. But the weapon I don't understand whatsoever is the Palace Blaster. Yes, give it to Jedi Luke, because he force pulled it out of Klaatu or Weeke's gun holster in the Jabba's palace. But do you really think he'd keep it for when he went on Endor? And it's a different colour weapon anyway. It's gone from grey to black. And he's not the only one with that Palace Blaster. Lando's got one as well, when he's piloting the Falcon. Why would he? I mean, there must be really good blasters, these, if they're keeping them. And when he was in disguise, he had a vibro axe anyway. Han did use one in the cartoon when he shot the Sarlacc. Maybe Lando kept it as a souvenir. Anyway, I don't want to rant on too long about Kenner. They made our childhood, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. So if you've got any thoughts on the vintage weapons, if you've got any stories that you could tell me, you can email me, blueharvesttoys@gmail.com. You could even send me a little voice message, and you might just get on the show. I'd definitely like some feedback from you listeners out there, good or bad. I did get a review from Roku Depot saying it was a good podcast, very informative. So that made my day. I'll look forward to hearing from you all. But until next week, may the toys be with you.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.